Welcome to Azeroth United, a weekly podcast about World of Warcraft. My name is Denethar, and I am your host.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. It's Monday night in Azeroth, and we have a great show lined up for you today. We're going to be talking about the War Within patch 11.1.5 and all of the features that are coming in for that patch and some of the controversy surrounding it. We're going to be talking about the Scarlet Enclave raid and some of the controversy surrounding that. There's a lot of controversy going on this week. I think that's the theme. Maybe we can license a Prince music for a backing track. Probably not. Yeah, and then we're also going to be going over just what's going on in World of Warcraft. We've got a Warcraft by the numbers. We've got the forum post of the week. We've got a bunch of stuff to go over. So pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Before I get to anything else, I wanted to do a quick World of Warcraft by the numbers, kind of the state of things and where they are. And as I mentioned the past couple of times that I've brought this topic up, it's a very difficult topic to really discuss from an analytical level. This is more, we have to go, to some degree, we have to go based on feeling, right? Because we can't say, hey, here are the numbers. The data that we want is Blizzard. How many people are playing World of Warcraft? Which version? How many are playing? Blah, blah, blah. That's what we want. We can't have that. So in absence of that data, we have to go with what is available to us. And so that we're using Ironforge.pro and Raider.io and Warcraft logs. These are the three tools that we have available to tell us what's the state of things. And all you can do is compare it to itself, because I can't compare Raider.io data to Warcraft logs data, which is also Ironforge Pro data, but we can draw some conclusions based on the different data, and we look at it all together. So let's look at Ironforge Pro first. This is World of Warcraft Classic. So this is telling us what everybody was doing last couple of weeks. So this is something really interesting that I wanted to point out about this data. The last few weeks have seen a decline of Cataclysm Classic and an increase in 20th Anniversary. Season of Discovery has slowly been declining for the past few weeks, but it got a little bit of a burst for the Scarlet Enclave raid. Not much. I don't know what that means. We'll get into that a little bit more later. We can talk about that. I can give my opinions on what I think it means, but I don't know. For Cataclysm Classic, we're at 111,669 people characters who participated in a raid that was tracked on Warcraft logs. And there's a lot of caveats in there, and that's because, like I said, this is not the data that we want. What we want is, hey, how many people are raiding in each of the versions of Classic? We don't have that. Season of Discovery, 69,774, and 20th Anniversary, 96,147. Season of Discovery, definitely the lowest of the three. I don't have Classic Era on here. It's like 10,000 or so. They haven't had data for the past few weeks. And I guess it's really tough for Classic Era because it doesn't even really... A lot of people play Classic Era and another version of Classic. So while people might play different versions of, I play Cataclysm or I play Season of Discovery, maybe they're raid logging on one or the other. Either way, this gives us a total of 277,590. This is the total number of characters that have participated in a raid in Classic of any kind over the last week. This is the week of April 8th. To give you an idea, okay, and I'm going to pull this number up directly from the Ironforge.pro website. At its peak, this is the week of November 8th, 2022, Wrath of the Lich King Classic, we have a total of 626,464 just for Wrath of the Lich King, right? This isn't across Classic. This is just Wrath. And for Season of Discovery, at its peak, this is the week of January 16th, 2024, we have a peak of 496,004. Okay. So, yes, things are a little bit lower now. And we knew that was going to happen when we went from Wrath of the Lich King to Cataclysm. You knew you were going to lose people. When you go past Blackwing Lair, you're going to lose people in Classic. Once you get to AQ, people start to drop off. Yeah, people are doing ZG as well, but once you get to Nax, people aren't. You have the hardcore, and those are the ones who are playing. So I want to, and I'm trying to be very careful about how I say this because I don't want it to feel like I'm drawing a final conclusion based on this data. Okay, but I pulled the same number or the for the last week. Okay, that number is 1,380,183. That's total number of runs across the board. And since each Mythic Plus run has 5 characters in it, that gives us 6,900,915 total characters who participated in a Mythic Plus run during that time period. Now, you could have one character that does 30 Mythic Plus runs, and that's fine. You might have people like I didn't do any Mythic Plus runs last week. So the numbers definitely are not what we want. But the tide has changed back to modern WoW. There was a time, I'd say around BFA and Shadowlands, when Classic launched, that Classic was carrying the bulk of World of Warcraft. The people that were raiding in modern WoW at the time, it was bad. It was really bad. If you weren't around then during that transition time period when half the player base split off to Classic and people were not really happy with Battle for Azeroth or Shadowlands, it was a rough time. It was rough. I'm not going to lie. It was rough. We don't have the total number of raids that were done on modern WoW, so we don't know how many Liberation of Undermine raids characters did a Liberation of Undermine raid. We do have the total number of guilds that have killed Gallywix in various incarnations. For what it's worth, Mythic is 141 guilds have killed Mythic Gallywix. 6,798 have killed Heroic, and 14,139 have killed Normal. Now, this is guilds, right? Pugs make up a lot of the normal raid population. I know that there are a lot of guilds out there that pug more people than will allow them to have a guild credit for killing a boss. So there's a lot of people that are killing the final boss in the raid, but we don't have those numbers. We can't accurately get even that little bit of information. So I guess what it boils down to is I really wish that we had some way to have, we don't need subscriber count, right? And that's what Blizzard's been very careful of. Hey, we're not going to give you a subscriber count. That's fine. I want some way that we can track who's doing what in the game, right? I just gave you the number of Mythic Plus runs that were done in the last week. How many delves were done last week? We don't know. We have no idea. How many characters or players participated in raid? We don't really know. It's really hard to get that information from either Warcraft logs or from Raider.io. So, yes, I wish we had a little bit more data to work with here. But this is what we've got, and this is what we're going to work with. So, all right. That's, yeah. And like I said, I've been playing Classic. So for me, it's like, I'm not out here trying to say, oh, Classic is dying and Modern WoW is winning. I want Classic to do well. You know, I feel like we need Classic to do well. Classic is like Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men. You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall. Anyway, so, yeah, like I said, last week, all Classic for me. I did a couple Uldaman runs. I got all my quests ready for Zul'Farrak. I'm one of these people that I would like to prepare every quest for a dungeon. If I'm doing a dungeon and I know I'm doing it, I'm going to do all those prereq quests. You know that quest that you do that tells you, oh, you've got to go over here and you got to do this quest. And then when you go back to that guy, then he'll give you a quest to go in the dungeon. I do all of those first, and I have everything ready before I go into the dungeon. It's just how I like to do it. So I did that with Oldemon. I even did all of the outside quests by myself because I couldn't get a group to do it. People just like, no, I'm not doing that. So I was like, fine, I'll do it myself. I'm a hunter. I can do this. And I did. I did do one Oldemon run that was really funny. I got into the group, and a priest had invited me to the group. And I was like, okay, whatever, that's fine. Let's go. And I think they got a rogue or something. And then we got a level 60 rogue join the group. And I thought, oh, cool. We'll have a carry or somebody who's going to carry us. That's fine. I'm good with that. Well, we get in there, and it turns out it's the priest's alt on his second account. And so, or the priest is the alt. So he puts the priest on follow and starts running through the dungeon on the rogue. Well, the other rogue is like, screw this, I'm leaving. So he bounced. So it's just me and this rogue and the priest on follow. And the rogue says, sorry, man, I thought we were going to have more people. It's like, what did you expect? Like, what are we doing here? So I was like, all right, whatever. I'll come back. So it was just weird. Like, I get it. If you want to drag your alt through stuff, I get it. I've done it myself. I have 2 accounts. I do that all the time. But say something in the beginning, right? Hey, this is an alt run. I'm going to have my alt on follow. I don't understand why people don't have that conversation in the beginning. Before you get all the way to the dungeon entrance, have that conversation. Please, I'm begging you. Say something. Anyway, yeah, so just running around the world, Faralus, Hinterlands, Tenaris right now is what I'm primarily working on the hunter. I have been working on the priest as well, and it's really rough switching from a hunter to a priest because the priest dies fast. Like, you think you're good, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, I'm dead. Yeah, the priests are squishy. So, especially at level 11 or 12 or whatever he is. But yeah, that's fun. I'm having fun. I'm enjoying it though. So, all right, let's. Before and by the way, we're not doing a forum post of the week this week. I had one that I was going to go over and do, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to save this one for another time because we've got a lot of talking and a lot of discussion that we're going to be doing, a lot of opining by me. So we'll do a forum post of the week next week. I have one that I wanted, and if you haven't seen it, it's the one about the main tank for the guild. So we'll talk about that next week, but it's too good. All right. Final thing that I wanted to mention here, and this isn't WoW related. This is just something that happened to me the other day, and I wanted to point it out. So I was in the car. I think I was dropping my daughter off at work, and I turn on the radio. And one of the things that I've noticed from moving from Los Angeles to the Midwest is that in the Midwest, the radio stations are very different. The rock music radio stations in LA was very generic, very, very classic rocky. And here in the Midwest, you get a lot more hard rock, a lot more. We're getting Metallicas, we're getting Disturbed, we're getting stuff that's a little harder, not like crazy, but it's a little harder. We'll get some Green Day, some Foo Fighters, whatever. So the other day, a song came on, and I was like, I don't know what this is. This is different. It feels like an old song, but I don't know what it is. The song is going. I'm like, I really dig this. What is this song? I had to pull over and pull it up on my phone. I'm like, what is the song? Listen, you know how you have your phone, listen to the song and tell me what it is. The song was Touch of Grey by the Grateful Dead. And I'm not a Deadhead by any capacity. The only Grateful Dead song I know or knew before this was Truckin'. So I was like, I don't even know what kind of music the Grateful Dead plays. I just know that they're one of the most iconic rock bands that have ever existed. I just don't know their music. So my bad, I guess. But anyway, this song is going, and I'm like, man, this song's fantastic. I love this song. So I had to go pull it up, and I when I got home, I pulled it up on YouTube and I watched the video. I'm like, this is fantastic. I love this song. So now I'm going to have to go and listen to some Grateful Dead. It actually, to me, it felt like an old, like early 80s Genesis song, right? It gave me kind of that vibe. I don't know. Anyway, it was a really good song, and I liked it. And, there's a few other podcasts that do kind of like an album of the week or a song of the week or something along those lines. And I'm not going to do that type of thing, but I did want to point this out because it's something that happened to me. And I thought, you know what, that's a really cool thing. And if you've never heard that song, if you don't know the Grateful Dead, go check it out. It's a good song. It might not be your cup of tea, but I really liked it. I thought it was a good song. So anyway, all right, we have a lot to talk about. So let's just get right into it.
It's time for the news.
In Blizzard news, so there's a couple of things that are going on this week, and we'll hit right off the bat. In the 20th anniversary servers, Blizzard have announced that the Phase 4, which is Zul'Gurub, Dragons of Nightmare, Tier 0.5, those will all launch on May 1st. So if you are struggling to get into Blackwing Lair, if you're tired of MC pugs, this is a great patch because not only will it give us the Zul'Gurub really easily puggable raid, it also gives us the Tier 0.5, something you can kind of do. It'll help revitalize interest in dungeons. It's just a lot going on there in this particular phase. This is like one of my favorite phases of Classic WoW. So that will drop on the week of May 1st, which is not this week, but next week. And then we play the waiting game for AQ, which I'm speculating will probably be about 3 months, 3 months, something like that. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. And we'll talk a little bit more about this next week, but it's interesting that they're including the dragons in this patch. I don't know if they did that last time. I'll have to look and see. Anyway, all right. In modern WoW news, so there's a new Twitch drop for patch 11.1.5. It's going to begin tomorrow, April 22nd. It's the Beatriz pet. It's a little bee pet. What you have to do is you have to watch 4 hours of Twitch streaming. Or Twitch streamers doing World of Warcraft streams, and you need to have your Battle.net account linked to your Twitch account. And if you're not sure how to do that, I will put instructions in the show notes. It's really easy to do, but you do have to do that first before you start watching your Twitch streams, or you will not get credit. So you make sure you do that first before you go onto Twitch. And then as far as 11.1.5, there's one other thing that it's not really related to the patch. It's just Blizzard is using this to kind of let us know. They are letting us know that they have not forgotten about the puzzling cartel chips, which are basically the dinars for the Liberation of Undermine raid. So a lot of people were like, hey, we didn't get any news about this. Blizzard forgot about them. What's going on? What's the deal? If you recall, Blizzard put these originally in the Liberation of Undermine Reputation Renown track, and it was like a Renown 17 or 18 or something like that. And people didn't like that because they're like, it's way too late into the raid. It's too many weeks in. People are already going to have everything they need. This is kind of worthless. If it's going to be useful, we need to have it sooner. Well, we're on week 8, and they're saying that it's coming soon. It'll be sometime after 11.1.5 drops, so we will get more information on that shortly. Okay. If you haven't seen the animated short that dropped last week, Behold the Staff of Orgrimmar. It's really funny. Apparently, this is a new series that Blizzard is going to be doing, Azeroth animated Azeroth shorts. This is the first one, and it's really good. I'll put a link to it in the show notes. Check it out. It's funny. It made me laugh. I guess this is based on real events or something that actually happened in a guild, and they just animated it and made a funny little video about it. It's just cute. It's like a minute and a half. But check it out. The Behold the Staff of Orgrimmar, an animated Azeroth short. There you go. All right. We're going to burn through the news here because, like I said, we have 2 main topics this week, and I want to be able to devote enough time to both of them. So, all right. The War Within Season 2, Week 8. Last week, I reported that it was Devour and Tyrannical. Apparently, my information was incorrect. It was not. It was Voidbound and Tyrannical. So this week is Devour and Fortified. So Devour, players are periodically afflicted with a heal absorb while in combat. So make sure you get your Dispel. So it's like some people call it a heal, not a deficit, but like a debit that you basically have to pay it off before you can actually do any healing. So it's not an absorb. I don't know. It's weird the way that it works. Anyway, yeah. So if you don't get rid of it, then the mobs will get a buff. But if you do get rid of it, then everybody's good and you'll get a little buff. So make sure you get your dispels because the dispels will get rid of it. Monks, paladins, priests, druids, evokers, all of you, make sure you have your dispel talented. Mages, really important, mages. Death Knights, make sure you spec your anti-magic shell to be able to get rid of magical dispels or magical effects. So that'll really help. And then Fortified at +7, you know it, you love it, you love to see it. Non-bosses have 20% more health and deal 20% more damage. Fortified, the true best affix ever. I don't know. I like Fortified. I think it's fun because it makes the trash interesting. Sometimes, especially if you're in a big group, in a good group, the trash dies too fast, and then you're like, "Well, I just burned my cooldown, but now it's not doing anything." So, I don't know. Fortified is the +7 affix. The weekend events. So the bonus event this week is the Legion Time Walking event. So you're going to get the Sign of the Legion buff. Legion reputation gains from combat and quest increased by 50%. You'll pick up the quest A Fell Path Through Time from Archivist Frithroon in Dornagal to defeat 5 time walking dungeons, and you will be rewarded with a piece of a hero track raid gear. And that's raid gear from Liberation of Undermine, not from a Legion raid. That's only if you're doing the first 3, which is, or the, what is this? The Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King, and Cataclysm will give you an extra hero piece for defeating the raid boss. Since there is no Legion Time Walking raid, we don't get that. The dungeon list is Akundun. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. That's from, oops, that's from Warlords of Draenor. I don't know. I don't have the list. This is the wrong one. Who did these show notes? God damn it. Denethar, you idiot. The PvP brawl for this week is Gravity Lapse. This one is, and it is a brawl. That's what I will say about it. It is a PvP brawl. Basically, it's Eye of the Storm with the gravity turning off every 60 seconds, and when it does, you can fly through the air like you're swimming. And then after 60 seconds, it'll turn back on. You'll fall to the ground. Just don't be over the void when that happens. That's it. Other than that, it's just a regular Eye of the Storm. So this one's kind of meh. But when you do zone in, you'll get the quest Something Different to win a PvP brawl, and you'll be rewarded with Conquest Honor and Marks of Honor. The holiday for this week is Noble Garden. The Feast of Noble Garden has arrived. The proving grounds for each race, the place where young heroes first test their strength. Each holds cleverly hidden treasure eggs. How many can you find? So just run around the starting areas and pick up eggs. It's the holiday. There's some, I think there's a quest you can go do, and a boss, but I don't know. This is one of the ones that made me want to rage quit WoW. When I was doing the Long Strange Trip achievement, sitting there waiting for these fucking eggs to it was so, I don't know that I could ever do this holiday again. So anyway, yeah, check out the starting zones. Make sure you pick up your Noble Garden chocolates to purchase your transmog and different rewards. And that's the whole holiday. So, yeah, there you go. Noble Garden. All right. Like I said, we have 2 main topics that I want to get to this week. So let's just jump right into it.
It's time for the main topic of the week.
Okay. So patch 11.1.5 is hitting live servers tomorrow, April 22nd. The servers will, let's see, are we getting a downtime notification yet? Let's see what, I didn't look. 3 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, so expect the servers to be down all day, especially from the East Coast, which is unfortunate, but that's the way the world works. Yeah, so there's a few things that are coming in this patch. I mentioned this last week, but we'll do a little bit more discussion about this, and then I want to talk about this rollout schedule. So the first thing is the Nightfall public event. So this is a public event. You go to Hallowfall and you're going to do basically you're going to help this new faction fight off the remnants of the Nerubians. It's whatever. This is like Researchers Under Fire. This is like time rifts, what was the other one? There's just, it's the same thing that you're always doing. This is more of a scenario, but even still, it's just a public event. So you go, you get your little chest, your reward at the end that'll give you a chance to get a coffer key, and if it's your first 2 of the week, it'll give you a piece of veteran gear, whatever. So this is launching with patch 11.1.5. This will be live on Tuesday. Also live on Tuesday is the cooldown manager. So this is a weak aura adjacent interface feature. It will function similarly to a weak aura, and it will be great for people who don't want weak auras because it actually just hands it to you. Here's how to track your cooldowns. I think it's great, but it's not really customizable. You can customize the size and the shape and the position of it, and that's about it. So I don't like that part. I think that's kind of lame. But if this is the first iteration of this and then Blizzard starts adding to it, then yeah, I hate configuring weak auras. When they work great, I'm happy. But trying to get them and standing in Dornogal or Valdrakken or wherever, Oribos, trying to figure out these weak auras and getting so frustrated because it doesn't work quite the way you want. You're like, well, I want this to show up unless I have that, but if I have this buff, I want it to glow. And it's such a pain. So hopefully Blizzard can give us something long term that we can use to maybe trim down some of the weak aura bloat that's in the game right now, at least for people like me. I don't know, a lot of people just don't even bother with weak auras, and you know what? I'm envious. I am. I wish that I was in that place because I hate dealing with weak auras. So, all right. And then also coming this with the patch this Tuesday is the new experience buff that is, okay, so it's an experience and a reputation buff that's coming. I'm kind of like, well, I guess this is good. We're supposed to be getting like experience potions and things like that, which is cool. I don't know. I'm just like, So anyway, so Winds of Mysterious Fortune, it's going to give you, I think it's a 30% XP boost, and then 100% reputation boost on the War Within reputations, and a 200% reputation boost on Dragonflight reputations. This is going to go April 22nd through May 20th. So if you have an alt that you want to level up, if you have reputations that you have not maxed, this is the month to do it. April 22nd through May 20th. So this is kind of an event, I guess, that they're doing. So whatever. After this is over, then we're going to get Horrific Visions Revisited. Now, Horrific Visions Revisited is basically Horrific Visions, but tuned for modern WoW, not BFA WoW. It's obviously they've had to update it, and you're going to be able to increase the difficulty that you're going to be able to do, but also add to your character, buff your character out with different enchants and things that are specific to the Horrific Visions. And when you do that, you'll be able to go further and get better and better gear. Eventually, you'll be able to get hero track gear, but obviously that's going to be very difficult to do. So this is probably going to be really good for an alt or for somebody who's really into the Horrific Visions. If you're casual, you'll probably check it out once or twice, but that'll be that. And then finally, the Dastardly Duos, which is going to go from June 3rd to July 15th. This is going to be a very interesting, so it's like think like a battle arena, but instead of fighting players, you're fighting animatronic versions of iconic raid bosses. And you're going to be able to get score. So as you go through it and how fast you beat the bosses or how well you do, you're going to get a score, and you can compare yourself to other players. So it's kind of a cool thing. This is another event. This is going to go from June 3rd to July 15th. And then it'll be over. So, and I don't know if this is like a new thing that they're going to start bringing back periodically. That would be cool because this event is really fun. It's just, I don't know what the purpose of it is other than, hey, it's kind of cool. So I think this would be a really fun thing to have. You can have leaderboards, you can have tracks and different things like that. I think that would be fun. So that's the Dastardly Duos coming with patch 11.1.5 on June 3rd. Now, here's the deal. This is why a lot of people are upset. Blizzard have been doing a really good job since the beginning of Dragonflight of giving us this 8-week patch cadence, right? So you get patch 10.0. whatever, the launch patch for Dragonflight, the game launches, and then the first content patch that we got, which was 10.0.5, that gave us the trading post, that happened 8 weeks in. Okay, so that set the pace for here's how this is going to go. And every 8 weeks or so, sometimes it was a little bit more, sometimes it was a little bit less, but it was all around 8 weeks. So every 8 weeks or so, we got a new patch. This gave us a couple pieces of content, and everything was good. We were all happy. Previously, Blizzard would release a patch. So say, for example, patch 9.1, the Chains of Domination. This launched on June 29th, 2021. And we didn't really get anything new in the game until patch 9.2, Eternity's End, which launched February 22nd, 2022. That's a long time. It's like an 8 month. Yeah, that's 8 months in between the two. Okay, that's 8 months of no content. Now, we did get Legion Time Walking in there, and we did get new allied race customizations, but come on, there's no content there, right? That was it. That was how it used to be. It was even worse back in the old days. Back in the old days, there was not even these kind of like mid launches of, oh, here's a little bit of something here, a little bit of something there. When we got when we got a patch back in the day, that was all we were getting. Or sometimes we would get a major content patch with no raid, no dungeons, nothing. So for example, when Mists of Pandaria launched in September, in November, we got a patch 5.1 Landfall. This patch had no content in it. It had 4 scenarios, I think. It was 4 scenarios, and that was pretty much it. And gave us a quest hub, a daily quest hub. That was what we got in patches back in the day, right? This is how it used to go. Well, Blizzard changed all that. They started giving us content every 8 weeks, which is every 2 months, which is great because after the patch 10.0.5 patch, then we got patch 10.0.7, and that wasn't even, I think that was 8 weeks later. Yeah, that was 8 weeks later, which was the Forbidden Reach. We got the Winterpelt Frollbog. We got the Orc and Human Heritage Armor quest lines. There was a good chunk of content in there. Then we had 6 weeks after that, we have the patch 10.1.0, Embers of Neltharion, which is the Aberrus Raid, the new Mythic Plus season. And so you get the idea here, right? This is like every few weeks, we're going to get something new and something interesting. It's like, hey, this is cool. I like this. And Blizzard got us used to that with Dragonflight. So we were getting way more content than we ever had before, but Blizzard just spread it out. They spread that content out over several patches, right? Instead of saying, hey, here's all the things in this new major content patch, they gave us the content of a major content patch worth, but spread it out, okay? So we got used to that. So what's happening now is with patch 11.1.5, I just told you everything that's coming in that patch. But 2 of those things, 2 big parts of that, the Horrific Visions and the Dastardly Duos, are being released a month and then another 2 weeks after the launch of the patch. So 4 and then 6 weeks in, we're getting more content. 6 weeks in to what should be an 8-week patch cadence is a little weird. So people are upset. They're mad because Blizzard is stretching out, and they're of course the immediate conspiracy theory is Blizzard is trying to prevent people from unsubbing after the patch comes out. So the patch comes out, they do the content, they're done, they unsub for a month, then they sub back in, and then they continue on. I guess some people could do that. If you want to be really cynical, sure. But I don't think that that's the primary motivation. I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I don't think that's their primary motivation. I think they're trying to spread things out so that players constantly have something interesting to do and to look at. If you want your WoW content all at once, you're going to do it as fast as you can. And then 3 weeks in, to the patch. You're going to say, Blizzard, when's the next patch coming? This patch is boring. There's nothing to do. I think they're trying to save us from ourselves. I really do. I think that Blizzard has realized that we will consume content as fast as they can produce it. So they can't win that battle. They have to spoon feed it to us like we're children. And I'm not saying y'all are bad because you consume content too fast. I'm saying I'm guilty too of saying, hey, I did everything. I'm done. I'm bored now. Because that's what I did with the Liberation of Undermined patch, or the Undermined 11.1 patch. I was bored. I'm like, I'm done. I'm not interested in this patch anymore. I'm done. I want to go do something else. I'm done with raiding. I'm burnt out. I want to go do something else. And so I did. But I did something else in WoW. So I'm not the type of player Blizzard is targeting necessarily, if that's what they're doing. But I get the idea behind it, where it's like, hey, what is going on? Why are people logging out? Why are people leaving? Why are people playing other games? Why are people going to play Marvel Rivals when they could be playing WoW? I do get that argument. I don't know that that's necessarily true, but I can see it. I can get it. But the reality is, we already got used to spreading out the patch over several months. If Blizzard follows the formula to a T, and we say every major patch is going to last for 6 months, and every medium patch within that is going to be 2 months later. So you go patch 11.1.0 launches, and then 8 weeks later or 2 months later, patch 11.1.5, and then 8 weeks later, patch 11.1.7, and then 8 weeks later, patch 11.2.0. It's like clockwork. It works perfectly. That gives us 24 weeks of every major patch cycle, which is, in my opinion, the perfect amount of time. 6 months is way more time than we could ever, or is the perfect amount of time that we could want for this content, because anything more than that, and you have people who are like, oh my god, when's the next thing coming out? And anything less than that, you have people like, oh come on, we were so close to finishing, killing the boss on Mythic, or I was so close to 3k IO, or whatever it is. So I do get it. I feel like 6 months is a really good time frame. But if we're going to start splitting up these medium content patches into minor content patches, and so we go patch 11.1.5a and patch 11.1.5b, maybe that's a little too much. I don't know. Maybe it's not. I'm not sure. But I feel like that's what they're doing. We will know for sure when patch 11.1.7 is really revealed and Blizzard shows us whether they will just release it as is, or if they're going to spread the content out and we're going to have this same content kind of, oh, let's take it easy. Let's have it every 3 weeks. We get a new piece of content or whatever. I don't know. I don't know if that is a good thing or a bad thing. I just know that people are mad. But WoW players get mad at everything. WoW players are going to get mad if the color is wrong. WoW players are going to get mad because the mouse cursor doesn't work correctly. I mean, WoW players will get mad at everything. But the one thing that I can say justifies their getting angry is when we get content and it's bad, especially if it's content that we're excited about. The 20th anniversary celebration, I will tell you, was one of the biggest disappointments I've ever had in WoW. I thought 20th anniversary, they're doing a huge event. There is no way they can mess this up. And they did. The BRD raid was terrible. The tier sets are okay. Some of the rewards, it's like, well, I already have that and I don't want this other thing. Otherwise I would have gotten it previously. So what is there to go do? The world bosses were meh as always. I felt like it was one of the biggest nothing patches that they've ever done. The classic time walking got old really fast. And I mean really fast. I don't know. I don't know if Blizzard is damaging their the situation by saying, oh, well, let's spread this content. I don't know. I don't know if it's a good thing or not. I do know that Blizzard has to be very careful with things, because as even like I said earlier, modern WoW seems like it's in a better place population wise. That's tenuous. We could very easily go right back to BFA Shadowlands era and staring the death of WoW in the face. Yeah, you know what? People liked Phase 4 of BFA, the Visions of N'Zoth, that whole patch line. They loved it. If you were doing high-end content, if you were trying to pay attention to the story, you were like, what the fuck is going on? This makes no sense. And then we went into Shadowlands, and it was like, wow, Blizzard just took what they had left of the story and flushed it down the toilet and threw us some cool cinematics so that hopefully we wouldn't notice. Anyway, yeah, I don't think this is a big deal, personally. I feel like there's a lot of people that are overreacting to this content being scheduled out over time. I do understand the frustration of not being able to do the things that you wanted to do. I know a lot of people were excited about Horrific Visions, but they have to wait another month for them. I get that. I do. And maybe the answer to that is to just give it another patch number. Hey, this is what's coming in patch 11.1.5a. Here's what's coming in patch 11.1.5b. Maybe that's the answer. I don't know. But I do understand the idea behind let's spread things out, because WoW players will just consume this and then complain. So, all right. Let's talk about this Scarlet Enclave raid. Now, for starters, let me be very clear here. I am not raiding Season of Discovery. Okay. So right off the bat, I want to put that caveat out there. I'm not doing this content. Okay. But I am reporting on it because that's what I'm doing here. That's the whole reason I'm doing this podcast, is to talk about the game content. Now, I'm not going to focus the podcast on Season of Discovery when I'm not playing it, because I feel like that's disingenuous. But if there's something newsworthy, I'm going to talk about it. So the other day, I opened up my web browser and went to YouTube, and I was blessed or cursed, however you want to look at it, with the latest Hammer Dance video about Season of Discovery and the state of classic WoW. Now, obviously, he's a YouTuber, so he's going to make some pretty big, broad statements in his title and on his thumbnail that make it sound like, oh my gosh, WoW Classic is in dire straits or whatever. Of course, that's what you do. That's the game. We all have to play it. I play it too. I get it. I'm not very good at it, but I try. But it's that's what you have to do, and it's hard. It sucks. I hate it. Anyway, so he did his video where he talked about the difficulty of Scarlet Enclave, the new raid in Season of Discovery. Now, to make this really understandable to people, this is harder than vanilla Nax, right? And before you go in saying, oh, vanilla Nax is easy, no, it's not. It's not easy. It's solved. We know it. We know the mechanics. We have everything memorized. We've done it 1,000 times. It's solved. So no, it's not easy. If you took a group of people and you threw them into Nax with no world buffs and Blackwing layer gear and said, go, and they had no idea what they were doing, they would get wiped out for the entire night. They'd be lucky to kill a boss. It's hard. The content is hard. Back in vanilla, like 2006, when this content was brand new, it took guilds months to kill Kel'Thuzad. Months, because it wasn't solved. We have everything in Classic WoW solved up to this point, including Nax. And the fact that people look at this content, kind of look down their nose at it and go, you could just walk through Blackwing Lair. You know the content. You understand it. You've memorized everything about it. You know every nuance. You can't do that with a new raid. Not right away. And we're not talking new as in like, oh, this is a new the Black Fathom Deeps or the Sunken Temple. Those were leveling raids. And while the Sunken Temple raid was hard at first, that was because they had the health tuned way too high. The mechanics weren't overly difficult. It was just that there was too much health, and so if you do moderately difficult mechanics long enough, you will eventually start failing them. That's just That's just WoW players. So if the health is too high and you're doing the mechanics for too long, yeah, it's going to be too hard. So they had to reduce the health, and they did, and it was fine. So anyway, as you go through vanilla WoW, Molten Core, yes, Molten Core is pretty easy. Onyxia's Lair, a little harder. Blackwing Lair, a little harder. Encourage, quite a bit harder. And then Nax. And some of the mechanics in Nax were very difficult. Now, granted, some of those mechanics aren't hard at all, like the Thaddeus polar mechanic. It's not hard, especially if you've done later WoW raids, because again, it's solved. So we know exactly how this thing works and how to counter it. But if you haven't ever seen that before, right, it's hard to figure that out. And I know a lot of guilds wiped on that many times because they couldn't figure out how to swap sides. Same thing with the safety dance, the Huygen dance, or Vesuvius having to mind control the students. I mean, there's so many things in Nax that are hard, and not just, oh, stay out of the bad stuff hard. No, you've got to learn how to do this hard, how to break people out of the webs on Maxna. I mean, there's a lot in there that's hard, but it's all solved. I could do Nax, and if I could do Nax, anybody could do Nax, okay? That's how solved it is. This new raid is not solved, and people are struggling. They're going in there, guilds are going in there, and they're having a really hard time. Now, one of the things that Season of Discovery did is they changed up the raid cap in these vanilla raids. So it used to be Molten Core was 40 player, Onyxia's Lair was 40 player, Zul'Gurub was 20 player. Those were the caps, right? There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You took 20 people into Zul'Gurub, you got loot for 20 people, that was that. Well, Season of Discovery, they changed it up. And so instead of doing 40 players for Molten Core is built for 20. The mechanics are built for 20. The loot is designed for 20, or the volume of loot is for 20. But you could take 40. If you wanted to steamroll Molten Core with 40 players, you could in Season of Discovery very easily. Like, you could probably do it blindfolded. And every raid since has had that same thing where it's 20 players. And Molten Core didn't start out that way. It started out with just 20 players. You couldn't bring 40, but there was a bug and they eventually changed it, blah, blah, blah. The idea is every raid now in Season of Discovery is 20, but you can bring 40, except for Zul'Gurub and Ruins of Encourage, which are 10, and you can bring 20. But we're not talking about those. Scarlet Enclave is 20 players, but you can bring up to 40. Okay, the fights are tuned for 20. The loot, the drops is built for 20. Everything is designed around 20 players. Warcraft Logs has made a determination that says this is going to be a 20-player raid. So if you bring anything more than 20, we're not going to count your logs for being cool, right? Back in the day, back in vanilla, Blizzard did not put caps on dungeons, okay? So you could do Stratholme with 40 players. If you wanted to, you could. At some point, and I believe it was, I don't know, I'd have to look through the old patch notes. At some point around there in 2005, they put a cap on the dungeons. I think it might have been when they did the Blackwing Lair. Anyway, they put a cap on the dungeons. They said, okay, you can take a raid group into a dungeon, but it can only be 10 players. Okay, 10. You can bring 10. The loot is designed for 5. The mechanics are designed for 5, but you can bring 10. You can cheese the mechanics by bringing more. Upper Blackrock Spire was 15. And if you go back and you watch the Leroy Jenkins video, you can see they had 15 players in there. But everything else was 10. Dire Maul was 5 only. You can only do 5 players in Dire Maul. For whatever reason, when they released Dire Maul, they were like, no, this one's only 5. So 10 players, right? But people knew 5 players was the correct way to do it. But we just did it with 10 because it was easier. Well, this is easier. Let's do it with 10, right? Nobody was logging our runs. Nobody was keeping track of it. Nobody was looking at our dungeon score in vanilla WoW. We just did stuff. And when we were finished, we were all happy. Somebody got a piece of loot. 9 people didn't. Big whoop. Nobody cared. We were just having fun playing this game together, having a good time. That's all changed now. Everything is min-maxed. Everything is tracked. Everything is logged. Players are so obsessed with their parsing that they can't handle not being able to parse on this dungeon or on this raid. And so when they go in there with 20 players and they can't clear it, it's a problem. People are complaining about the difficulty. Okay. So yeah, you could take 40, but then you don't get to parse. So yeah, that's the kind of the introduction to that, right? Now, Hammerdance in his video, we're going to get back to this video, and I will put a link to this video, and I don't have any ill will towards this guy. I don't know him at all. I just saw his video, and I thought, it's an interesting take. That's not my take, but it's an interesting take, and I it's fine. So he's talking about this, and he had a couple of different ideas, but the one I want to focus on, the idea that I wanted to bring up here, is he's suggesting that when Blizzard does this for Classic Plus at some point in the future, when we go actually Classic Plus, he's suggesting that we should be able to set a difficulty switch so that the people who are really good can feel good about themselves, essentially, because he's not advocating for better loot. Maybe he's advocating for more loot, but not better loot, right? It's not like we're going to get heroic versions of raids, of loot. No, same loot, but more of it if you do it harder. This is what his idea is. And he wants a slider that basically goes normal, heroic, mythic. Dude, please do not start advocating for this. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your ideas are. Please do not advocate for Blizzard to put difficulties into Classic Plus. It's already bad enough that they had like the heat levels and molten core and stuff like that. If you put those words in normal, heroic, mythic, you're one step away from retail. What is the point? Yes, I know there is Classic, and the content or the gameplay is different. I get that. And so you're like, I don't like the gameplay of The War Within. I like the gameplay of Classic, but I want to have difficulty levels in Classic raids. Fine, I understand, but that's not what Classic is about. And his argument that he made, which I did kind of have to laugh, is he said, well, if you don't want that, there's a version of the game where you can just do one version of this raid by itself in its era. To which I would say, well, there's a version of the game where you can have a difficulty slider and it's called The War Within. But like I said, I don't have any ill will towards this guy. I thought he was interesting. I thought his video was interesting. In fact, I'd love to have him on the podcast to talk about this specific topic. I think it would be interesting. I'd love to get his take and maybe more takes on this topic. But since we're just talking about this right now, I feel like if we are going to have success with Classic Plus, we have to keep it to the core values of Classic. And some of those core values are broken, like class balance. Class balance is broken in Classic. Professions are broken in Classic. Yes, you can tweak them a little bit, but don't change the fundamental aspects of it. The raids are set in stone. Even if you say this is now going to be a 20-player raid in Classic Plus for Molten Core, for Onyxia, whatever, fine. But to give it that difficulty, it opens up so many doors that we don't necessarily want to go down for Classic Plus. And this isn't a Classic Plus episode. I'm going to be doing one of those soon. I'm working on it. But yeah, that really scared me. I saw that video, and when I got to that point, I panicked a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, oh man, if this is what people are asking for, Classic Plus is gonna suck. But that's just my opinion. What do I know? You know, I'm a podcaster. You know, I get whatever people listening to my podcast, and he's a YouTuber, and he gets thousands of people watching his videos. So he has a bigger audience than I do. That's fine. I don't have thousands of people listening to my podcast. I wish I did, but I don't. So, you know, maybe my opinion is not as valid, but I don't know. To me, that's not where I think the game should go with Classic Plus. Is Scarlet Enclave too hard? Maybe it is. Maybe it is. I just think that it's not solved. I think it's not solved, and WoW players are not used to or Classic WoW players are not used to having things that aren't solved. And I think it's really frustrating to them. And they're having a hard time with it. So, but guilds are clearing it. They're getting through it on 20 players, so it's not like it's impossible. So I don't know. I guess we'll see in the coming weeks. And if we do end up with a phase 9 for Season of Discovery, I'm really curious to see how Blizzard handles this particular issue. So, all right, that's going to wrap up our main topic of the week. And that's going to wrap up our show for the week. So thank you so much for listening and for watching. I really do appreciate it. It is always a pleasure and a privilege for me to get on this microphone and speak to you. If you want to get a hold of me directly, you can reach me on Twitter or Blue Sky. I'm at Denethar on both of those platforms. Honestly, I hate to admit it, but I've been using Twitter again a lot more. So I don't know. We'll see. If you want to get a hold of the podcast, you can check out our Linktree. It's linktr.ee/Azeroth United. I am trying to get a website going, but it's going to take a little bit of time to get that built up and set up and everything. So in the meantime, you can just go to our Linktree. It's got all of our links. It's got the Discord server. It's got the Patreon. It's got our YouTube channel. It's got our Spotify, our Twitter. Everything's on the Linktree. So go check that out if you are interested in that. I think that's it. You can occasionally catch me streaming on Twitch or YouTube. I am at Denethar01 on both of those platforms. So if you want to do that, you can. I haven't been streaming a whole bunch recently because honestly, I'm just kind of dinking around in Classic. So I don't really have a need. I was going to stream all my raids this season and then I got burnt out. So this is how it goes. So anyway, thank you again so much. I really do appreciate it. And you know, one thing that I will say is I've had a lot of people talk to me about this podcast and about kind of where I stand on things. I'm at a place right now where I feel very lucky and very fortunate to be able to do this for as long as I have. I didn't think that I would get to 83 episodes. I didn't think that I would be at this point. I'm really happy, and you know, it's just it means a lot to me that so many people have really gotten on board with the show and following me and just care, and I'm touched. So thank you. On that note, I do want to take a moment here to thank our patrons. These are people who give their IRL money to help us out with the production of the show. I wanted to thank our friend of the show patrons. That is Judge Omni, Stug Life, Theliel, and Greybeard. Thank you so very much. I really do appreciate it. You definitely help make Azeroth United possible. If you want to check out our Patreon, it's patreon.com/Azeroth United, or you can check out our Linktree. And all of these links will be in the show notes, so you can just click on it there as well. All right. And I think that's it. So thank you again for listening. I really do appreciate it. Remember to be good to each other out there. That's a real person on the other side of that keyboard, and maybe they want a difficulty slider in Classic Plus and you don't, and that's okay. You can still be nice to them. You can still smile and have them on your podcast. Come on, Hammer Dance, come on the show. All right, take care. I love you all, and I'll see you